Welcome to Airside chat number 14. It's your host with the flair, Mr. Acquire the Air. Back at it with another Sunday vlog. Ooh. See how my top of my head? Anyways, this could very well be the end of the road for me. Or is it? I feel like crap. I feel extremely defeated. And yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm a little scared. Not a little scared, but a lot scared. But got less than 24 hours, and then they're gonna do an occupancy check. I have to call the leasing office tomorrow, let them know that, hey, I'm still occupying this apartment, and then I can spare to be here for at least another week or more before they start coming after me. And I just happened to look at the camera, and I just happened to see 1:44 on the video timer. That's no coincidence there. Side note, but as I was saying before that, I can spare to stay for at least a week or so before they start going after me and taking me to court. And I was like, we want our money, you know. Property, like, we want, landlords like, we want our money, you know. It's just one of those things where I feel like I took a risk on myself, and with the way things have currently gone, just kind of feels like blew up in my face. There's a part of me that feels regretful for following my heart, but I feel like that's artificial guilt, artificial regret creeping up and coming to the surface. Like, this guilt is not even mine, this regret is not even mine. But it kind of feels as if I came to the realization that a lot of the regret and guilt that I've held on to for so long, that I've over-identified with, was actually not mine. It was from other people around me. Even if it wasn't spoken, I was still picking up on it emotionally, whether it be from peers or family members, but more specifically family members. More of an emphasis on family members than peers. I mean, some of it was peers, but I definitely feel it was mostly from family members. And I don't usually ask for help in any capacity, but if I'm going to need some help and to help me keep going with my dreams, because at this point there's a part of me that wants to give up. There's a part of me that's like, what gives, right? It's like, what gives, you know? There's a part of me that feels like tried too hard, but there's another part of me that feels like I didn't try hard enough. Overcoming that inner critic. It's an everyday thing for me, 24/7, 365. Even more so with a 6-house stellium in my natal chart, but also a lot more nowadays with me being a progressed Virgo rising instead of, being a natal Leo rising. Um, yeah. Having your Mercury in a exalted house, the sixth house, can definitely have its cons if it's not wielded correctly. Honestly, Mercury in the sixth house is very prone to overthinking, or sixth house stelliums in general. Especially with having Uranus and even Lilith in the sixth house. Excuse me, confirmation burp. It's not for the weak, man. It's not for the weak. There's a part of me that kind of just still feels angry. Not kind of, but I still feel angry that I'm still alive. It's like, it just feels as though no matter what I accomplish, and even if I were to follow my soul path, there will be some sort of unfulfillment because probably because I didn't have enough fun. I didn't have enough fun, and it's like, to me, the fun was in the deep work in and of itself, and I've been through a lot of deep sorrow, a lot of circumstances where I was very early on, where I was made to feel beyond worthless and not incapable. That's not the right diction I'm looking for. Definitely unworthy is a better word. Unworthy of being here. Like, feeling like I had to have more life experiences to have a story that's worth sharing, or that I felt was worth more sharing. Feeling like my story as it is doesn't have value. Thinking and believing that my life would be better off. I still have those feelings spiral around in my mind. No matter how many rituals I do, or no matter how much I journal, no matter how many times I even verbally express it, because expressing your feelings and feeling your feelings are two different things. And somebody might be relating to this right now, but some of you guys might feel more comfortable expressing your feelings and actually feeling your feelings, and or vice versa. Some of you might be better at feeling your feelings and actually expressing them. And so there's this interesting nuance where we can be over expressing and under feeling, or vice versa, under expressing and over feeling. And so I'm kind of seeing the Two of Pentacles in my third eye, balancing the two. If you're more comfortable with one, get more comfortable with the other, or vice versa. And it just sucks. Currently I have a little over $100 towards my rent that I missed. It's about $1,200 or $1,300 that's with late payments. with the late fees. That's for a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom apartment, but um, I need help. If you want to support my dream of being self-employed in any way, shape, or form, if you felt within your heart to do so, I will put the link to my website in my bio. And at the very top of my website, I have a tab for donations and tips. I'm about 1/12 there to my goal. Every little bit helps. I would greatly appreciate it. And the self-employment journey, it's been a pretty huge leap for me. But been doing a lot of healing this past week, and a lot of upgrades, a lot of releasing. Right now, it just feels like it's almost completely the end of the road. Almost feels like it's the end of my life, really. Dead ass. But it's been challenging to find reasons to stay alive, to find reasons to keep going, even if I don't feel significant on days, even though I'm always finding ways to uplift the collective. I've went through 6 different jobs over the last 6 years of my life, from 18 up until 24, and I do not do well in the 9-to-5 circuit, in the 9-to-5 scheme of things, in the 9-to-5 routine of it all, system of it all. My first job was when I was at college. I worked at my university's alumni center for 6 months. That was from like September of 2019 to March of 2020. And I was an alumni ambassador. And basically what that job consisted of was I was in a call center along with some other students, and our job was to reach out to alumni and build rapport with them. And quite frankly, that job challenged me a lot, because like talking to people over the phone and kind of convincing them to make a financial contribution, or we had to word it differently to make it seem like that it wasn't a scam or anything. Then March 2020, the pandemic happened, and basically I was unemployed. So they sent all of us back home. We had to move back home, move out of the dorm temporarily. And this was right around the time I was on Wheel of Fortune 2 the first time. Filmed the episode in February 2020, and then the pandemic happened, so I had to move back home temporarily. I was on unemployment. I was unemployed for a little over a year, up until July of 2021. I had my next job. I worked at Taco Bell for a month and a half. I was a drive-through order taker or slash cashier, and I actually liked that job, but it was just a lot, working in fast food. Um, they wanted to cross train me to make food on the line, but I wasn't fast enough, and deliberately so. As somebody who's autistic and neurodivergent, I'm too nice nasty with things. But it just goes to show that I deeply care. I put a lot of intention into a lot of things that I do, even if it's unspoken intentions. I just like, I don't want to touch that. So I left that job in September of 2021. And before I even go further in my timeline chronologically, after being on Wheel of Fortune the first time, all hell kind of broke loose. And that experience was very eye-opening because a lot of people were coming out the woodwork, and because I had money, they saw how much I won. It's literally displayed on the TV screen. People coming out the woodworks, and I was overly generous with those winnings, even towards family. And I gave my mother roughly, how much money did I give her? She asked for money to pay off her credit card at the time, so I gave her like a little over $8,000, and then I gave my dad roughly around $10,000 because he wanted Bitcoin. He wanted to buy one Bitcoin and invest in Bitcoin. So you can kind of see the contrast of how my parents, what my parents did with my money differently. My dad was looking for ways to invest in the money, in growing the money, and making it last and worthwhile. And I appreciate my father's efforts, even if it was unsuccessful. My mother, the money that I gave her, at least from my personal observation, may have not have been enough for her. So I was upset towards my mother because she took advantage of me financially, and I survived financial abuse. And a part of me wouldn't be surprised if she still has some of my money, just withholding it, just to make it, just to have me be codependent on her in some capacity, financially. I'll never forget when I told my mom that I didn't feel safe in that house. This was not long after my dad had moved out and he got his own place and he's living in his apartment. And I was like, I don't feel safe. I literally just straight up told her that. And I'll never forget, the next day I woke up, my mom was packing all of my stuff and essentially kicked me out. I was under an agreement where I was like, okay, yes, I had a job, under stipulations, like I had to have a job while being under her roof, and which I did, and doing stuff around the house, like making sure like I empty out the trash cans in my respective bathroom that was around the corner, and small things that even though I had a job, I was lazy around the house. Also, my mom didn't like the fact that I was doing tarot in her household, so she threw out all of my tarot cards, and I had the audacity to buy them back on Amazon. Every time, I literally laugh at that every time. But my parents had divorced in 2020, October 2020, not long after I was on Wheel of Fortune. And that was kind of like, it's interesting how Wheel of Fortune had happened at the time that it did, because things had went south, and that divorce, even though I was 19 at the time, it kind of, to me, it signified like the end of my childhood and like the family. The only thing that was consistent was that representation of a family unit being just destroyed and ending. And I honestly thought that things could have been fixed, but um and my dad wanted to fix things too, but my mom just didn't want to fix things and she wanted something different. And yeah, and my mom ended up getting remarried in May of 2022. It's been almost 3 years. um my dad is also um engaged. He'll be getting remarried soon. So, yeah. Anyways, back to my job history. Just like went all over the place chronologically. But I'm sharing most of my story, more of my story, and from my lens and from my experience, unapologetically, unashamedly. And yeah, where was I at? Taco Bell, right? Yeah, so I left Taco Bell in September 2021, and I put in my 2 weeks, but then I ended up getting fired over a text message in a group chat, which was so weird. I mean, like, I get it, like, it's an at-will job, like, they can fire you even after you put in your 2 weeks and whatnot, but I just find it weird how they just decided to let me go over over text message in a work group chat. I just found it to be odd, still to this day, almost 4 years later. Um, then I was unemployed a little bit for a little over a month, and then I worked at FedEx as a package handler. And basically what that job consisted of, it was a physical workout to say the least, and got to help unload stuff or packages from the truck and onto the conveyor belt so it could be processed and tagged, and that whole process. And I had that job that was the longest job I've ever held out of all the jobs that I've had. I had that job from October of 2021 to July of 2022. So roughly 7 months, I think. Not 7 months. It was actually 9 months, roughly, just about. And I left that job. I wanted something different. And then I went over to Amazon in July to October of 2022. That was probably my least favorite job. It was nice to have 4 days work week wise, but the fact that I was working 10 hours, I was just like, oh, hell no. The pay was good, but the hours, ooh, long and grueling. And I was more of an escapist at that job. I was a runner, to be honest. They had to look for me. It's like, oh, where is he at? I would just camp in the bathroom. There was one time when I was at work, and I literally slept in the bathroom for the whole shift, that whole 10 hours. I got caught the next day, and I got terminated from Amazon because I had too much TOT, which is time off task, or basically, which is essentially like I had too much time away from my workstation. So, which was essentially time theft, to be honest. But I digress. Um, then I went back to FedEx after that, from October of 2022 to July of 23. And in between that time, I got to be on Wheel of Fortune again, a second time. And I ended up leaving FedEx in July of 23 because I was like, oh, my Wheel of Fortune money is going to be coming. And I won the car that I won from my second appearance, the red Infinity. And I sold it. And I sold it to CarMax, and they offered 34,000. Um, so I went through that money, and like I went through that money was gone by January of 2024. And so I was like, well, back to the corporate world. I went, and I went to Walmart from January to April of last year, and I was a door greeter. Basically, I was the official title for it is the eloquent title is an asset protection customer host, or APCH, which is the fancy eloquent term for a door greeter. Basically, they feel like they have to. I hate that about corporate jobs. Making it is like I'm just a door greeter. It's like basically I was greeting people at the door, and check I had to check their receipts, even though deep down I did not like checking people's receipts. Like, just get your stuff and get out of here. Oh gosh. I ended up getting terminated from that job because I was really hungry, right? And on the job, and I would go over to the deli and take the chicken poppers from the deli, and I would eat them while in the building, and I would go and like throw them away. And it was caught on camera, and I was interrogated about it, and I got terminated for that. Thankfully, I was not prosecuted for that, because I should have been prosecuted for that, but I was not prosecuted for that. So I don't know how I, got away in that manner, like that, unscathed in that context of like not getting prosecuted. Um, but yeah, and then my next job, I worked at a gas station for a couple months. I actually liked that job. It was in a smaller environment. A lot of these jobs were like either really close to what I wanted to actually do, but like no cigar. There was always something that I didn't like. um, Unfortunately, with the gas station job, I was there for a couple months. I was there from June of 2024 to August of 2024, and I'll never forget. I took my the trip that I won on my second Wheel of Fortune appearance. It was a cruise. I took my dad with me, and I'll never forget. I came back from vacation, and I was back to work, ready to work. I came in, I clocked in, and then the supervisor wanted to see me, and she was like, "You made a mistake before you went on vacation," kind of thing. Like, it was caught on camera that like I accidentally rung up the wrong amount of cigarettes for a customer, and that resulted in a sales loss of like $200 or something like that. And it exceeded the limit of how much you could of a sales loss before one could get terminated. So I ended up getting terminated from that job. And then my last job was at a nursing home. I worked there from August of 2024 up until February of 2025, a couple months ago. And this job, I started out in the kitchen. I started working uh, in the kitchen as a dietary aide. So I was helping serve, you know, uh, breakfast, or more so lunch and dinner to the residents because of my hours. And then I didn't really like the job. It was my hand. My strongest sense is touch, so I get really sensitive with my hands. So like, oh, you had to do the dishes, and it was just way too much. It was overstimulating for me. So they had transferred me. The manager was like, hey, I think your personality will be more fit for activities. So I got transferred over to activities around, I think it was in September. And I was there from September up until February. And I'll never forget, I almost got fired in October because I got really sleepy. Like there were times where I would just stay up late when I knew I had work in the morning, and it's like I slept I took a break and I slept for 1 hour. Our breaks are 30 minutes, and I was like, screw that. The breaks need to be longer than 30 minutes. That's not even a long time. But I did, and I almost got fired that day. The executive director wanted to fire me. Excuse me. And my supervisor, she stood up for me, and I literally, so I was basically, I got spared, but I was put on a final written warning. Um and in February, I took a 2.5 hour nap on a 30-minute break, and I was working the night shift. So I was working like the evening shift um, with activities. So I was just really sleepy. I'm just like, I don't feel like going back. And the reason why I did that was because I did not want to. So as an activities assistant, we were required to take CNA classes to become like a CNA certified like activities assistant, where like we can take them to the restroom instead of like having to get one of the CNAs to do it, um or stuff like that. And I was just like, I don't see myself being a CNA. So I to my family, to my immediate family, it felt like I was sabotaging myself. And that was honestly with the last few jobs that I've had, they seen myself as like me self-sabotaging. But it was me just like, I saw a much worse timeline for myself where I was like, if I become a CNA and I unintentionally commit elderly abuse, then I can get in more legal trouble for that. I was just like, I can't do that, because I be too nice nasty, but at the same time I don't want to be overly aggressive with the residents. So I'm just like, having to like bathe them and give them a shower and other CNA tasks. But I was just like, I can't. So I did what I did to deliberately get myself out of that job. And while I was at that job, I launched my spiritual business on the new moon in Aquarius on January 29th. And it was no coincidence that I got let go from my job, that I got terminated um, in February, just 4 days before my birthday. And here I am, 2 months later, on the self-employed journey. These last 5 years have been a long, winding road, and a part of me wants to give up. A part of me just wants to check out. Just like, what's it's just like, what? Wow. But anyways, this is actually my longest vlog yet. I don't know what the outcome of this is going to be. I'm totally in the dark. It feels like I'm in the dark. The element of surprise is at play, like I had channeled before in a previous video. But if anything happens to me, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. I will miss all of you if I don't happen to make another Sunday vlog. like I said earlier, if you feel called to donate or tip, I will put that in. I will put my website in the description. So if you guys feel called to help and contribute, so I can continue to hopefully live here and to pursue my dreams and build my dreams of being a business owner, being an entrepreneur. And I don't want to have to live in my car or anything of that sort, or even have to throw out the battle station or my computer desk that Mark sent me and bought for me. I don't want to have to throw that out either. Because, my dad's apartment technically has no room for anything really. But I hope you guys have a good Easter. For those of you that do celebrate and acknowledge Easter, and yeah, I'll see you guys around for Airside Chat 15 next week, hopefully. But if not, it's been a pleasure and it's been an honor. And I love you guys, and you never know, miracles happen every day. So it's Mr. Aquare with the Flair. Mr. Aquare with the Flair. Mr. Host with the Flair, Mr. Aquare with the Ear. Signing off.